the first thing you can do is, as I guess you have already, is wake up to what's actually going on. It comes over quite complex. People, whenever you talk about finance to people, it's like, boom, just switch on. But what you saw there is the easiest, simplest concept in the world to grasp. And that causes you to feel bloody stupid that you've been so blind to something so obvious. All you can do is just tell other people to start with. But I've campaigned for a number of years because I believe there is a solution to this. I heard someone in the audience earlier saying that the only way out of this is a violent, bloody revolution. If you look around you now, the world's falling apart and you've got violent, bloody revolutions going on everywhere. So that's one option. But it's not going to get you too far. There is something else can be done, but I think we'll probably come back to that a little bit later. But it's about being aware to start with. Give me 10 minutes on Newsnight and this country would change because people would actually discover what's going on. The people who literally own the oil companies are the same bankers we're talking about. But not a group of people as such. These are corporations. They have a plan. And what you're witnessing around the world today, these countries collapsing, coups, revolutions, peaceful or otherwise, have all been engineered, and don't lose sight of the fact that they all triggered from one event, and that was an economic collapse globally. That economic collapse was engineered deliberately to create the kind of discussions that we're having today. Scrapping bankers' bonuses and all this is just fodder for the public to get stewed up about. Everyone thinks, yeah, scrap their bonuses. Of course they should be scrapped, but it's irrelevant, completely irrelevant. The banking system can be reformed within 7 years. Interest can be scrapped, inflation can be got rid of, and quite honestly, income tax can be abolished within 7 years as well, at least down to 50% of what it is. These are facts, and your government doesn't want you to know about them. At a time of global revolution when you are being conned, they're creating a movie around you at the minute. Doesn't inflate the cost of goods if the issuance of that currency is based upon the goods and services exchanged within the economy that we're talking about. The current system is a closed system. Anyone who's into physics will understand a closed system, where you scrap the current system and have the issuance of the currency issued by a nationalised, and I mean that as in owned by us, not in any socialist way at all, because it's socialism, the myth of socialism that lies behind what's going on. If that were to change tomorrow, as I say, inflation is removed, so you don't need your interest because you're not battling uphill all the time anyway. Yes, there's going to be grief and there's going to be a lot of ripples coming out of this, but 7 years down the line, it was stabilised. We issue our own currency. The greatest losses would be incurred by those who have fraudulently loaned this money in the first place. China is their model economy, but this benefit that should come out of issuing the currency debt-free is not being used for the benefit of the people. It will be used for the benefit of an elite that will develop within China and already is. That is, some of you will have heard the phrase the New World Order. I don't like using that, but it is. These people have set up China to do this, so now the West is in massive decline. It's no coincidence you've got documentaries on television called The End of the West and all this right now. This is what's happening. It all does come down to the fact that the currency is issued by a private person or persons as a debt to you. The national debt figure was mentioned by Steve 10 minutes ago. I'd say that's entirely fictitious because the national debt is indeed every penny that was ever spent in this country. That's how much is owed because it was loaned to it. And that's why it can't be repaid. The people who run this system have to have nice islands in sunny places to bugger off to, but while they take the piss out of everyone else. Throughout history there's been a battle, and that battle has actually created the world wars that you've seen and just about every other grief that has happened. And the battle has always been between two monetary systems. The two systems where money is created by a private monopoly in limited supply, an interest debt note, or where money is created as a receipt for goods and services and is debt-free. That's based upon the production, the gross national product of a country. And new money is not poured into that system unless it's actually growing and developing the system. The current system that we have is a private monopoly issuing the currency as a debt. And when people get confused about this, whether it's Guernsey or any other country, I say that let's just imagine that you are the government of your country, be it Guernsey or anywhere, and you have to pay pensions, you have to put on bus services, trains, whatever. You may want private companies to run them, but the problem with that is they're greedy, and we all see what happens. Train companies, we know the way it goes. So what they do is borrow the money off of a private group of people to fund all of that. Well, tomorrow you could choose not to do that. You could print your own money debt-free. And the fact that our government allows us to do that shows that they're complicit to the crime. People confuse the bank on the high street with the kind of banking that we're talking about, where all the frauds and stuff are going on. Yes, you could have a bank on the high street where you're paid into and you can go in and draw it out and blah, blah, blah. We all need that functionality. And that was literally within 3 hours of being shut off when the credit crunch happened. What's happening here is a coup, and it's under the disguise of Europe. It's such a big story behind this. It's not the platform to go into it, but again, in the audience earlier, I did hear someone saying that actually the people that lie behind this are Nazis. Yes, they are. They did not lose World War II. Germany did. And this is going on and on. Now, I know that's a profound link to make, but in 1910, the Eugenics Record Office established a branch at the Galton National Library in London. It was endowed by the Harriman family, which along with the Rockefellers gave Prescott Bush his start in politics. This is the guy who funded Hitler and was pulled up for it and prosecuted afterwards. He provided more than 11 million to create the Eugenics Record Office. Do you know who the first director of that Eugenics Office was in 1912? Winston Churchill. It's ironic that years later he went to war against the supposed Nazis. There's a much bigger picture going on, and you're literally being fed a movie at the moment. There's going to be a lot of pain, whatever changes you make. But part of the plan that is unfolding before you now involves you going through a hell of a lot more pain than you're suffering at the minute. Because it's not even begun in this country. Look around you now and see what's actually happening. It's coming here, and it's coming here soon. What I have suggested for a long time is that you can't educate all of the public. And this isn't for everybody. It really isn't. What has to happen is those who do understand it, and when you do understand this simple thing, you will realize that it's probably the biggest crime against humanity, quite literally, because it creates poverty. That's what it does globally, literally. But it can be solved. People who do understand to actually go out there and do something about it in a way that will attract the attention of those who haven't got a clue what's going on. Now, and I have suggested that enough people, literally, because they're always squaring the circle. This square mile in London is where this thing stems from. They square the circle. You have your Freemasons, you have your secret societies. The knowledge which allows them to set up the banking system the way it's being done comes from those secret societies. It goes right back to the temples of thousands of years ago even. But it's quite definable nowadays. If the people get off their arses in this country and go and encircle the square mile in London and refuse to give the damn thing back until someone from government comes out and answers a simple question. Why do you allow our currency to be issued by a private group of individuals as a debt with interest when tomorrow we can choose to have it debt-free issued by ourselves?